My soul is thirsting for you, O Lord, thirsting for you, my God. My soul is thirsting for you, O Lord, thirsting for you, my God. Thirsting for you, my God. My soul is thirsting for you, O Lord, thirsting for you, my God. My soul is thirsting for you, oh Lord, thirsting for you, my God, thirsting for you, my God. Oh God, you are my God, and I will always praise you. In the shadow of your wings I cling to you, and you hold me high. My soul is thirsting for you, oh Lord, thirsting for you, my God. My soul is thirsting for you, oh Lord.
Happy Sunday, beloved brethren. Today is the 22nd Sunday in ordinary time of the year. The gospel reading of today, taken from the gospel according to Matthew chapter 16 from verse 21 to 27, is a continuation of the gospel passage we had last Sunday. Remember that last Sunday, Peter identified Jesus Christ as the Messiah, Christ. And immediately Jesus told them not to let anyone know about it. So after the proclamation of Jesus as Messiah, Jesus started explaining to his disciples the significance of being a Messiah. He started by telling them that the Son of Man is destined to go to Jerusalem, to suffer and to die, and on the third day he will rise. For the first time, the disciples were surprised to hear that the type of Messiah they have in mind and they acknowledge in Jesus Christ is totally contrary to what Jesus is telling them. Because from the biblical passages of the Old Testament, the people of Israel were expecting the Messiah that will come and lift up the people of Israel as the greatest nation in the world. All other nations will serve them. Especially if we call to mind the impression left behind by Psalm 72, all the people of the earth shall come and adore and worship you in Jerusalem. And also, even in Deuteronomy chapter 28, Moses laid it out to the people. If they listen to the word of God and do his will, they will be the first of all the nations. Every other nation will serve them. This impression that Israel is expecting a Messiah that will make Israel the first of all God's creatures was well noted in the time of Jesus Christ and even before the time of Jesus Christ, as the people were expecting the Messiah. So when Peter announced Jesus as the Messiah, it was expected that he should roll into the concept and the mentality they had nurtured all these long years. But Jesus told them, the Son of Man is going to Jerusalem to suffer, to die. This emphasis on suffering and dying that we finally bring to resurrection puts Peter off. And so Peter took Jesus by the side and started remonstrating. This should not happen to you. The Lord will not allow this to happen to you. And Peter and Jesus, in response to Peter's difficulty to understand this point, called him Satan. It must be noted immediately that the word Satan is a Hebrew word that is not used as a proper name, but as a common name. Satan means an adversary, an opposer, an accuser. So anybody could be identified as Satan once you become an enemy in the project of life, an adversary, an opposer in the project of God's mission. You become a Satan. And so Jesus called Peter Satan, and he added, "You are a stumbling block to the word of God." The word used there in Greek language is scandalon. Something that blocks you away, something that opposes the project of God. So if last Sunday, Peter was identified as a model for all believers in the profession of faith, this Sunday, Peter stands as a negative model. Jesus called him an opposer, an accuser, somebody who stands against the will of God. It is impressionable that Peter should pick such a poor negative image just because he wanted to defend Jesus Christ from going to the cross. This first impression brings us very close to what could happen in the life of any Christian. That at times we can profess Jesus with our tongue, but what is in our mind is different from what Jesus stands for. At times we can acknowledge Jesus Christ and identify with him in various ways. But when it comes to reality that Jesus represents, we fall short of the real meaning of Jesus Christ. So Peter became Satan, opposer, accuser, because his profession was not enough. He needed to put into action what he has professed, to understand what Christ means. That is the Christ that is meant to suffer, is the Christ that is meant to die before he gets to his glory. Immediately after the response of Jesus Christ, he started then to let the disciples know the condition to follow him. Through the gospel writer Matthew, Jesus makes 3 important affirmations that stand at the nucleus of what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. The first thing we notice before this proclamation is that Jesus said to his disciples, Matthew is emphatic in using the word disciples in these pericopes, because the word disciple, if we pick it from the original Greek root, means matetens. Matetens means a learner, one who is still at the hands of his master. So if Jesus said, if anybody wants to be a follower of mine, speaking to his disciples, he's already communicating to all the disciples who will want to follow Jesus tomorrow that he is inviting all of them as learners on 3 important aspects of their life they must concentrate. The first one, he says, renounce yourself. The Greek word used here is apaneomai. This word comes from the root aneomai. Aneomai means to deny. Apaneomai is an intensified form of denial. In essence, Jesus says, if you want to follow me, forget yourself. Deny yourself. Leave your personal propositions and look unto the propositions I make for you. The first condition to follow Jesus Christ is to forget yourself. If you don't forget yourself, your personal ego, your pride, and some personal interest in the way you carry out your daily activities, you cannot be a follower of Jesus Christ. Of course, we know that we cannot love as he loves if we don't forget ourselves. We cannot forgive as he forgives if we don't forget ourselves. And we cannot stand strong in the mission he has called us if we don't forget ourselves. The second aspect of this condition is take up your cross. You know, we are accustomed to see cross in every aspect of the Christian life. When one is sick, we say, this is his cross. When one is suffering from his wife or her husband, we say, the husband or the wife is his cross or her cross. The stubborn children in the house, they are my cross. But apart from this general understanding of what cross stands for, which also other professions of various religions can also identify them as crosses or things they can accept and move on with life. When Jesus says, take up the cross, he goes beyond simple acceptance of normal difficulties that every other person on earth accepts. to emphasize an important aspect of the Christian life, and that is making a choice to be with Jesus. The word used there in Greek language is airo, to take up. It is not just to support or to accept, but to take up, to lift. It's an action that comes with decision, an action that comes with disposition, one who is ready to do that. So Jesus says, if you want to be a follower of mine, first of all, forget yourself. Secondly, make a choice to be with me. Take up the cross. Follow the track I have followed. And this is where you get to your inmost heart desire. The third condition that is listed out today is follow me. The disciple is a follower and not a leader. You notice why Jesus called Peter Satan, because Peter wanted to be a leader. It is ironic that a disciple should lead the master. And that's the image that Matthew presents when Jesus shouted on Peter. The disciple should be a follower. Jesus said, if you want to be my disciple, you deny yourself, take up the cross, follow me. Following Jesus means focusing on him. Just like a driver focuses on navigator that is being controlled by the satellite. And so, if you look away from the navigator, if you don't know the road where you are going, you are to miss the road. And it is easy to run off the track. But when you are so dedicated to the guidance of the navigator before you, you are sure to move and get to the destination. So Jesus invites us to look unto him, focus on him for our life's journey to get to the end of the joyful place he has prepared for us. This emphasis on denying yourself, taking up the cross, following me, links us perfectly to the first reading we had today, Jeremiah chapter 20 from 7 to 9, which is popularly known as the Confession of Jeremiah. Jeremiah suffered a lot in the hands of the people of Israel because he wanted to announce the reign of God and to discourage people from depending on the temple. They hated him. His words were so strong that they always come in form of oppression, violence, destruction that was about to come to the people. So the people hated him much. At a point, Jeremiah wanted to stop his service as a prophet of God. But he said, each time I say I will not speak again about this message, there is a fire burning in me that does not allow me to rest. The fire does not allow me to stop talking. It continues to urge me, to inspire, to empower me to go on and proclaim the word. So I'm just like one who has come to suffer shame because of the Lord. At the same time, I cannot stop speaking about the Lord. This is a perfect image. What is external looks difficult, but what is internal should encourage us to move on. Every good disciple has in his heart, in her heart, the image and impression of Jesus Christ, the fire that is burning. That fire should always accompany us in moments of difficulties and challenges to carry across and go on. It is this same image that Paul, in the second reading we had today, in Romans chapter 12, from verse 1 to 2 in particular, took time to communicate to the Christians in Rome and all Christians all over the world that the greatest service and offering you can make to God is the offering of your mind and your heart. He says, offer yourselves as a living sacrifice, spiritual offering acceptable to God. It is important to put attention in the word that Paul used when he said spiritual offering. The word he used is not just pneuma, which is spirit, but logikos, which is reason. So Paul told Christians, offer your reasoning. Let it be the spiritual sacrifice you offer to God. Reason like God. That's the meaning. That the greatest service we can render to God is reason like Him. Have the same mentality as God Himself has. And that is the perfect service He's drawing us to offer. For us to have the same mentality, we must look at Jesus always, who is a perfect image of the Father. That Jesus has called us to follow Him means He has called us to develop and accumulate, have the same mentality as He has. If we don't have the same mentality like Jesus Christ, we can't be His disciples. The mentality to forgive even when it hurts. The mentality to love at every level of life. The mentality to be generous to those who persecute you. The mentality to offer yourself to the service of others and for the good of the community where you live. This offering of our reasoning and mentality to fit into the mentality of Jesus Christ is the most perfect offering that Jesus requires from every disciple. It is in this type of offering that we'll be able to follow Him, walk in His way, reach the victory He has prepared for us. On this note, beloved brethren, I wish you a joyful celebration of the Lord's Day and a perfect understanding of the structure of our faith, the Messiah we profess, that we may learn to emulate Him and live as He lived and identify His presence in every part of the world. Peace be with you.